Hello and welcome to the DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast, episode 163. And my special guest on today's show is the legendary Joe Bouchard, a founding member of the band Blue Oyster Cult, along with many other musical projects he's done throughout the years. He is currently on his 6th solo album, which he's about to release this Friday, and it's called Strange Legends, and it is out via his brother's label, Rock Heart, and distributed by Warner Deco. And it's a great album if you love your sort of like classic rock, just a bit of rock and roll. It's great. And it was an absolute damn pleasure to speak to the man. Blue Oyster Cult were one of the bands that I kind of can point towards and go, yes, I'm very aware of them, and yes, they're a part of my sort of musical heritage and whatnot. So actually getting to speak to a founding member was amazing, and I do a little bit of fanboying in there as well, so excuse me if I'm fapping, if you will. But no, it was an absolute great little chat, so that'll be up in a couple of minutes. I just want to say thank you to DJ Random on the last show. Absolutely spanking response from that, I think the words are. I don't use that word too often, but that's the first one that came to mind. But yeah, no, it's been absolutely great. All these DJs, I've got more coming in as well. I'm just waiting to get them recorded. I've got more bands coming in as well. I've got Static X actually recorded, so that's going to be my next one. But I've got a couple of great bands lined up as well. Some new, some old. And it's kind of hitting that kind of like point where some albums that I was very much into in my late teens, early 20s are kind of hitting anniversary marks. So I'm in the midst of getting a bunch of bands from that era as well, just to have a chat with them and talk about that said album and whatnot, like, 15, 20, 25 years later on that front. But yeah, thank you everyone. I've been getting some good like thumbs up on YouTube and all that kind of good stuff, so that's all going nicely. More subscribers are coming in as well, which is absolutely amazing, so thank you if you're here subscribing and you've gone through the sort of like eclectic sort of like musical styles that we're kind of going through here. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and I hope you continue to listen on that front. But without much further ado, I am going to hand you over to myself with Mr. Joe Bouchard. And enjoy. I'd like to welcome Joe Bouchard to the show today. He is a founding member of Blue Oyster Cult, and he is about to release a new solo album called Strange Legends. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, good to be here.
Excellent. Again, thank you for doing this. I appreciate your time.
No problem.
Cool. So, like I said in the intro, we've got a new album coming out. It's coming out on the 31st of July, and it's out on Rock Heart Records via Deco Entertainment as well. So yeah, there's several tracks. I've had a stream. I've got a stream copy of the album that I've been sort of listening to as we go through it, and there's some absolutely fantastic tracks on there, I've got to say first and foremost. I love the cover of All Day and All Night. It's like it's one of my favourite songs of
A lot of people have mentioned that.
Yeah.
And it's a great song.
It is indeed. Even like back when I was in a band, I covered that song. I loved it so much. So,
me too.
Yeah. But you also, I mean, there's other tracks in there. She's a Legend's a great track as well. And I can't think of the other one. I haven't got it written down, but there was I think it was like track 8. I think it was the one after the cover.
Okay.
That's a good. Oh, I can't remember what it is. Let me just find it, because I want to actually name it before I. I'm not going to edit this, so don't worry about it. It's like where are we? So track listings. Yeah, track 8. Once Upon a Time at the Border.
Oh, excellent!
Yeah,
excellent. I love that song.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic. I mean, there's loads of tracks on that album that I really love. It kind of really took me back a little bit, because it's sort of like my dad's musical taste, if you will.
Yeah.
Back in the day, he was very much into like Genesis and obviously Blue Oyster Cult as well, to sort of pinpoint a bit of your legacy there, and many other sort of like guitar-based rock, prog type stuff, and it was really cool. And it's sort of, you've brought it sort of up to modern standards, if you will. And it's an absolutely fantastic album.
Well, thanks. I really enjoyed making this record. I think this is my 6th solo album, so every one gets better and better. I think I get to be a better producer as well as artist. So I have to wear 2 hats. I gotta have arguments with myself. Like, did you do that good enough? Or it needs another mix.
Yes, let's go back and re-record
it. This one is a beautiful sounding recording all the way through.
Yeah.
And I had a great drummer play on the album, Mickey Curry, who's, he's done so many records. He's got like 40 gold records for work he's done with Bryan Adams and Alice Cooper and Cher and The Cult and just so many. I can't name them all. But he happens to be a neighbor of mine, and I said, "Hey, you want to do an album?" And he was available. Wow. So we did it in 2 sessions, and it made it really easy to produce the album because you're starting with great drums to begin with.
Yeah,
and he's one of the best. So that was a lot of fun. I'm glad, but I'm glad you mentioned that ballad, "Once Upon a Time at the Border." It's a very personal song to me.
Okay.
All about my very nostalgic when I used to play in a bunch of clubs where I grew up. It's a sort of a resort town in Clayton, New York. And I had some incredible summers there playing in clubs and meeting a lot of strange legends.
No, like I said, this album, I'm absolutely like it's. Yeah, I can't give it too many superlatives. I probably can, but I know I'm really enjoying it. And it's like I say, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you because your musical legacy, as it is, has meant so much to me because I love Blue Oyster Cult's music. Like
we are very, very lucky with our catalog. It still resonates with a lot of people all over the world. It's incredible.
Yeah,
I never dreamed it would go that far, but it's just cruising along, and
yeah.
Over 40 years later, it's still as strong as, even stronger now than it was back then. Don't tell anybody.
I was about to ask.
It's bigger now than it was back then.
Do you think?
So that's a good sign.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like I've still got I've got a couple of vinyl copies of your like older, like the Blue Oyster Cult stuff that I had bought myself, and obviously I've inherited from my father as well. And I mean, it's just like actually getting to speak to you, which is an absolute honor on that front because you're like one of my kind of rock royalty, if you will. So if I could pinpoint bands that mean like so much to me, Blue Oyster Cult are definitely there as well, with like bands like Rush, Iron Maiden, and Guns N' Roses. They're kind of like, obviously that veers more into the heavier side, but that kind of like classic rock and prog. Absolutely brilliant. And like I say, getting to speak to you is an absolute pleasure on that front. I just want to get the sort of like the fanboy stuff out of the way on there. So,
okay.
But no, what like with this album, like you said, you got together with Mickey on as the drummer. Do you have any other players on the album?
Just my girlfriend plays guitar on one of the tracks because she had does a finger style guitar, which is very special.
Cool.
So I needed that feel, and she sings a couple of backgrounds, but everything else, the keyboards, the bass, the rhythm guitars, lead guitars, it's all me. I mean, I love being a multi-instrumentalist.
Yes.
I was just the bass player in Blue Oyster Cult. Occasionally I played a couple of piano things, but most of the time I was always on bass. So one of the reasons I left the band was to be able to play these other instruments and produce my own records, do things like that. I'm having the greatest time. It's just fantastic. Putting these things together.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, like I said, it's, I mean, you can hear that now that you are very, passionate about what you're doing still, which can get lost along the way, because obviously if you've been in the music industry for as long as you have, obviously, you know, there is that kind of element of creativity that kind of never goes away, but sometimes you can sort of process things through kind of like just, you know, playing by numbers, if you will.
Well, one of the reasons we started this record label, Rock Heart Records, my brother and I, he was the original drummer in Blue Oyster Cult. And we signed with the manager, and the manager said, you guys should have your own label. And we had never even thought about that, you know. Yeah. But he got us this record deal in the middle of pandemic. He comes up with a record deal. We were stunned. But the main reason is to promote the idea that we're both still very creative in the business. Yeah. And having our own label is great. So mine is the first album on the label, and my brother's solo album, which is fantastic, will be out in October, will be the second. And then we have other projects scheduled for 2021. So we'll be very busy.
Excellent. I was going to ask how the, like, obviously the pandemic had been affecting you in this sort of point, because I've spoken to a few artists that have been promoting records that have been released since, you know, but during this time where everyone's kind of not around.
You're home a lot.
Yeah.
Well, at first I was amazed that I had so much time I could practice, because I've never had that much time off. And I've sort of adjusted to that. I'm not practicing as much as I did at the beginning of the lockdown, but I've been real busy with this album, so that's one reason. And I make videos. I'm making videos for the album, but normally I would be out on the road right now touring to get the word out on the record, and so we're thinking, we're planning, and as soon as things open up and they figure out how to do live shows again, we will be out there for sure, because I think there's going to be a real demand, you know, for concerts when it does open up. Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, I miss the big crowds. I miss everybody singing along. I mean, that's a feeling, you know, when everybody's just singing along at the top of their lungs. You know, fists in the air and, you know, going crazy. That is an incredible feeling, you know, and I miss that. But I'm confident, optimistic. It'll come back.
Oh, no, definitely. I just, it's one of those things that I miss as well. I don't perform, like, musically as such. I DJ. So having that, you don't get that kind of buzz from doing live streams, if you will.
You need the feedback from the crowd, you know?
Totally that indeed. And I tried doing the live stream thing during this lockdown, but it just didn't give me that kind of, it just felt kind of like a bit, well, not stale, it just didn't feel interactive at all. You know, so we're not feeding off the crowd that's in front of you. We're not feeding that, reading the room, if you will. So knowing what to play next, you're just kind of, playing what you want, which is great to a certain degree, but not everyone wants to hear what you want. So, but I was just curious, because obviously, obviously this has never happened really at this scale to humankind as such, at least in our lifetimes. And I'm always curious to see how people have kind of like managed it. And obviously you kept busy with this album. Like you said, you managed to secure a record deal in that time as well.
Yeah. I did some recordings. We did some videos for charity that were like quarantine videos where my brother would do the drums at home and then send them to me, and then I do my parts, and those were a lot of fun. We're going to do some more of those.
Excellent.
It's a different experience, but you know, the music was great, so that's the bottom line. If the music is great, you know, it was well worth doing, and you know, it was for a lot of good causes. We'll do some more of that. But excellent. That was definitely a big thing a couple of months ago. It was like everybody was on a doing their home recordings for charity. So that's good.
Yeah, no, definitely. That, I mean, you're doing it for a good cause. You know, that's enough buzz that anything can give you at that point, because you know you're doing something good for you know, humankind. So,
right.
But no, that's fantastic. I mean, because I've asked if, like, obviously a bunch of musicians during this time, and the sort of like how have you guys like adapted? I mean, obviously you're doing the live streams and stuff, but is there anything that you've like previously when you've released anything that you've done differently this time? Has like the sort of like the admin side, if you will, has that been more of an experience for you, or have you always managed to sort of like do that sort of stuff yourself?
Yeah, I do a lot of it myself. I'm pretty much self-produced. Lately, I've dived deep into the video world.
Yeah,
I've been doing video for 30 years, basically. My dad, when I was growing up, was the TV technician at the TV station when it was brand new.
Yeah.
And so my earliest recollections of my dad working was in the TV station. So somehow I got back into that. I taught video for about 7 years in a private school back in the 90s. And that was a lot of fun. But so I'm doing it now and having a good time with it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's still ways of connecting with the public.
Yeah.
And, you know, video is, of course, very time consuming. It's like 10 times worse than doing a recording or an audio track, you know, with the details in video.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing these days.
Okay.
It's fun.
That's excellent. I mean, that's good to know. You're sort of keeping creative in different medias as well, which is something that you know, a lot of people have kind of discovered during this time, if you will. But obviously you were teaching that back in the 90s, so you kind of had the sort of like at least the sort of knowledge there to kind of build on it and everything, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So like, along with that, like I'm always interested because obviously, you know, when you guys started out back 40 plus years ago, how have you seen the sort of like industry change? Because obviously the medium that you deliver your music on seems to change every like 5-10 years. But what,
you know, Napster was a big shakeup for everybody. I mean, we were making too much money. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
They took the vinyl albums, made them into CDs. It really didn't cost anything.
Yeah.
For a long time, they kept up the fantasy that it was really expensive to make CDs. And then everybody got a CD burner for their computer and say, wait a minute, this doesn't cost anything.
Yes.
You know, a blank CD. So then Napster came along and just, you know, everything went completely crazy. Now it's kind of leveled off, you know. If you pay that $10 a month, you can get your streaming, whatever you want, you know, $10 a month, not bad.
Yeah. For all the music.
And podcasts.
Yep.
Your podcast.
Yep, very true. Yes, you can get my podcast. It's available on all outlets.
Yes. I mean, you know, it's pretty convenient, you know, it's fun.
Yeah.
I do a lot of driving in the car, and it's great to have podcasts on those long drives. It just makes the drive seem like nothing. So, yeah, there's advantages to all that, you know.
No, that's really cool. I mean, cause
it's doing okay, you know.
Yeah.
It's like things have adjusted from the Napster days, and
yes,
you know, I don't know what it's like to be an unknown musician. You know, it can be probably very, very hard on that level. But then again, you know, with all these interviews I've done, and I'm sort of listening to what else is happening, you know, the new Taylor Swift album is out today. Yippee!
Oh, wow. Thank you for that.
I bet you didn't know that.
I honestly, no, I didn't.
That's my competition. That's my competition.
I have 3 children, and at least one of them would have told me, but no, I didn't know that was out today.
It was a surprise album.
Oh, okay. It was one of those sort of like no press, and it's there. Yeah.
You know, when the Rolling Stones put out an album, I usually keep up with what's happening there, and other people my age, like Willie Nelson, they're all putting out pretty good records for their age. It's unbelievable. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm not in competition with Taylor Swift or Willie Nelson necessarily. But I do like hearing some of these new rock bands.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's really kind of cool.
It's nice. It's kind of given, like with the streaming service, what I like to sort of like equate it to is kind of giving them a level playing field. Whereas, like, you're not battling for someone to spend like $10 on your album, like CD or, you know, vinyl or whatever. You've got those streaming services there, and you can go out, you can sample the album. The artist will get, you know, it's not much, but you get some kind of royalty from that. Yeah. So, and if you do like it, I mean, I'm in the habit of, I have one of the streaming services subscriptions. And if I really like an album, I will go out and buy it. Even if I'm like sent it, because I obviously get promotional copies of things as well. Being in
a lot of people have to have it in their hands, you know, when it's just coming through the air, it doesn't feel like something. But when you have it, and you know, I sign a ton of stuff, and it's all good. Here's a theory. I think that with the pandemic, people are actually taking a little more time to listen, and some of the pop stuff that was really thin, but was just sort of like wallpaper in people's houses. People are thinking about what they're listening to, and they're liking the rock. They really like the rock. So I'm hoping that my album fits into that category of a good rockin' album, you know?
Oh, it is. Like I said, I've streamed it like from the link I got sent and everything, and it's great. I've had it on rotation, so it's it is really good. And I do highly recommend it to people out there on that front, and to go and listen to it and pick it up. But no, like I said before, I'm a generation of like when I was younger, it was vinyls, cassette tapes, and then CDs. Kind of came along when I was sort of like a teenager, and you know, and I love vinyl. It's not just for an audiophile sort of side of things. It's actually having, like you say, a physical thing. Like the CD was great because you had a little booklet, you can go through it, you got some great artwork. But I always find vinyl to be like the art piece, if you will. So, because you've actually got the music etched into vinyl. So you've got the physical music there, but you've also got the artwork on a grander scale.
Yeah.
You know,
that's great. I love that stuff. Yeah.
And I'm sat in my studio right now with two turntables next to me, so it's all good. So I think that's coming back round as well. I've noticed, like, obviously there is a sort of global shift on music, how people consume their music. You know, the kids that go for the streaming side of things, but there is a new generation out there of people buying physical copies of the albums. Which, like, I've got friends who own record stores, and they've noticed an uptake, obviously, on vinyl. That's the big thing. Yeah. But also people wanting CDs. You know, and it's just sort of, I'm with the music industry. It all comes back round anyway, I feel. So it's just great to be a part of that. Like be there. Like, obviously being back then when kind of watching vinyl kind of disappear. But I've always been always wanted it to come back because it's really expensive.
Well, it was a great experience. It was like a shared thing. Yeah. You know, you got the new album, you raced to get it home. All your friends came over, brought a 6-pack of beer or something. And it was a shared experience. You know, it wasn't earbuds and, drifting off to sleep, you know? So, vinyl albums made the new album an event. Yeah, exactly. I remember that.
And it's also like they were made to be albums as well. Which obviously with the sort of like streaming, it's like everything's kind of leveling off, like you said. But it's like there was a lot of like make that hit song, that one hit song that everyone, and then it doesn't really matter about the rest of your album, or you can make something that doesn't make sense. A lot of like I've seen a shift turning back to making an entire album, so as in having either a common theme through it or making it, like you say, an event to listen to.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a good time for music, and with the pandemic, like you say, people have been listening more. I've definitely found that.
They're thinking about what they're listening to.
Yeah, exactly. Like before the pandemic, I can put my hand on my heart and say that I didn't give everyone the time of like they deserved when it came to, because I was in radio and DJing and all that kind of stuff. So you get sent a lot of stuff. So you've kind of, at some point, it kind of like you look out for the big things and then maybe occasionally give the small things a chance. With the pandemic, I found a lot more time to actually delve into what had been sent and
dig a little deeper.
Exactly.
I mean, you're the first one to mention that 8th track. I'm working on a video today for that.
Really?
Just a simple lyric video.
Yeah.
And I sort of got a new concept in my head, but it really is nice. Everybody seems to like a different track. I mean, a lot of people have mentioned the Kinks all day and all of the night because it's so classic,
Yeah.
And that one, I started that out as a sort of an acoustic song, but once I got Mickey on the drums and then I started feeling it, I said, "Oh, this has got to rock."
Yeah.
So it starts out, kind of moody with a little acoustic guitar, but then it revs up, and I hope it does. I hope Ray Davies hears it someday. Say, that's not too bad. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I did a heavy metal cover of that. Because I was in a metal band when I was younger, and we used to do like random covers. It was actually one of the few covers that we never recorded, but we used to perform it live a lot, and it was just good fun. I mean, I just sing along, like I did backing vocals during the chorus and stuff like that, and that kind of stuff, but screaming it like to the top of my lungs. But because I was like, we were in like the new metal movement, that sort of movement, sort of like style of band where it was a crossover of like heavy rock and sort of like hip hop elements and stuff like that. And I was the DJ in the band, so I was sort of scratching a bit of the Kinks up in the background and sort of making it a bit more, just giving it a bit more of a hellish sound to it. So put it that way.
Great. A little bit of Metallica in there.
Oh, a little bit, yes. No, it was good fun, and that's why I mean, it's one of my favourite songs. It's like in my top sort of 10 of all time, and your version is absolutely magnificent. I loved it. So, yeah,
great.
No, it's all good. So I've got a couple of questions left for you, Joe, if that's all right, and I can let you sort of get on with the rest of your day, if that's all right. And these are sort of my generic questions I do ask everyone, but they're kind of like one of them is thought provoking, hopefully. What I want to know is, what are your top 3 albums that really influenced you to be the musician that you are today? So the one that made you want to pick up an instrument the first time, or that when you first heard that, it was like, I want to do that music, I want to do that.
Well, I'm going way back.
No, go
probably
for it.
that made me a guitar player was the album by the Ventures called Walk Don't Run, and my band, my high school band, played every song on that album. We loved that.
Nice.
There were no vocals, it was just guitar instrumentals.
Okay.
But I'd say that definitely made a big imprint. I love Little Richard's greatest hits.
Yep. He was very, very good.
Very influential when I was even younger than before I even picked up a guitar. I loved Little Richard.
Yes.
And then I'm going to say there's a few, but there was an album by the Beach Boys called Beach Boys Today. Not too many people pick that up as their favorite, or earth-shaking, or whatever. They usually say Pet Sounds or one of those other, Sunflower maybe. But I remember listening to Beach Boys Today, and I just said, I've got to do this for my calling in life. I didn't know what I was going to be, but when I heard that record and I heard the harmonies and I felt the emotions on that record, I said, I am definitely going to be in the music business one way or another,
That's awesome.
And, there may be a few other albums, but I would say those 3.
Yeah.
Little Richard, the Ventures, and the Beach Boys, made a big impression on me.
I'm going to go and
Of course, the Kinks.
Yeah, no, obviously. I'm going to go listen to. I know Little Richard very well. Like, I know the music very well, and it was amazing. It was kind of like there's so many elements in there that are used today that it was just one of those, like, he's one of those ahead of his time type musicians.
Yeah.
And you can just hear it in everyone's music. Like, it's awesome. But I haven't heard that Ventures album. So I'm going to go back and listen to that, and I'm going to have to remind myself about the Beach Boys album as well, because like you say, Pet Sounds and stuff, and their sort of like big hits are all in my head. But I'm going to check out that album as well, and sort of like deep dive into that, because that's a good pick. That's a nice little random one for me to dig at, that and the Ventures actually to dig right into.
Excellent.
So yeah, that's really cool. Finally, what are your hobbies away from music? So when you're not doing stuff for your own albums or anything like that, have you got any sort of like bits to sort of like keep you occupied away from that?
Well, I do play golf once in a while.
Excellent.
I haven't played too much recently, but I do love golf. And a lot of people said I was too old to start playing golf because I didn't play when I was young. I started, I think my father, when he was in his later days, he would say, "Let's go golfing."
Yeah.
And I said, "What?" What? He'd make my mom be the caddy.
Amazing.
My mom was the caddy. She was 80 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. So I like that. But mostly right now I'm into playing the trumpet.
Oh, really?
I love trumpet. Yeah.
Nice.
I was always the worst trumpet player in high school. And in the last 2 years, I have just got obsessed with brass instruments. And I joined a little brass band, and we played show tunes and marches and, lots of, stuff you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
But I'm having fun, playing my trumpet. And I got a cornet, 2 cornets, and a flugelhorn. That's kind of like my hobby between golf and playing the trumpet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I play a bit of golf myself, so I like it. I do like to go down the old driving range. And
obsessed you can get with that.
Oh yeah, no, totally. My brother was a pro, so I've got like he played on the
family.
Yeah, he played on the European tour and everything back about 10, 15 years ago. So, but no, I got him into golf as well, which was the fun thing. But I was never as good as him. Typical with a younger brother, But no, I love playing golf. It's one of my like favorite kind of like pastime de-stresses kind of thing. So you know, I've got a driving range near me in England here, so it's nice and easy to go there. The course itself it's on is really good as well. So I played golf, and I was in Ireland a few years back, and I played golf in Ireland. It was beautiful. Yeah, it was right on the ocean. I don't know if you know that course. It's just a beautiful course, links course. Yeah, I've not been to Ireland to play golf.
Right outside of Dublin.
Yeah,
right.
I'm trying to think of the name of it though, but I cannot remember.
We had a little tour going there in 2002, I think it was.
Yeah.
No, maybe it was 2007. I don't know the years. But we had a bus driver that drove our bus around, and he also loved to play golf. So towards the end of the tour, he says, "You got to come to this golf course." And it was amazing. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So,
cool.
So we had a great time then.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. I mean, it's like, I know you've worked with like you say, a guy who worked with that, like you've worked with Alice Cooper and stuff like that in the past. And I know he's a big golf
Dennis
person.
Dunaway, a good friend of mine. I've worked with him for decades. He was the original bass player in Alice Cooper. Yeah. And Alice is a good friend. And he actually sang a song that I wrote a few years back, and that was amazing. Yeah. So,
Cool. No, it's really because I know he's a big golf nut, so it's So,
that's one of the reasons I really want to get good, so I can play with him. Maybe we'll get on a tournament sometime.
Oh yes, definitely. That'll be amazing to watch. So
I'm sure he's dying to play. Definitely dying to play golf.
Definitely. Well, Joe, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate your time with this.
Great talk.
Good luck with the album and everything. And I hope to see you over here once the world allows it.
Yeah, let's play some golf.
Oh yeah, totally. Even if no, definitely. I've got my clubs behind me right now. They're raring to go. They've not been out for about 5 months or so now. Yeah. So they're absolutely desperate to hit something. So
I know how I feel.
Cool. Well, Joe, thank you very much again, man. And have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
Cool. Thanks you.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.